You know, the world of orthopedics in 2025, it isn't just about fixing bones anymore, is it?
Not at all.
It feels like it's exploding with cutting-edge technology, really transforming how care is delivered right now.
It certainly is a very exciting time.
Welcome to the deep dive. You sent us, well, quite a stack of sources, the latest articles, press releases, expert insights, all buzzing with the newest innovations in orthopedic care.
Hmm.
Our mission today is to guide you through this material, to unpack the most important bits of knowledge you need to know about what's happening this year.
Some good.
And joining me to navigate these, frankly, quite exciting trends is our expert guide for this deep dive, Professor Mo Imam.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to explore such a dynamic field with you. It's moving so quickly.
Absolutely. So, looking across these sources, a few major themes just jump out immediately, don't they?
They really do.
We're seeing the pervasive influence of AI,
Right.
genuinely revolutionary surgical technologies, smarter implants built with advanced materials, and a huge shift towards patient-centered care, even outpatient care.
Quite a list.
It's a lot. But let's jump right in, shall we? See what these sources tell us.
Let's do it.
Okay, the first thing that's just impossible to miss is AI. It feels like it's everywhere.
Hmm.
But our sources highlight some specific, really powerful applications in orthopedics. They seem to go way beyond simple image analysis or diagnosis. What's really grabbing you here?
Well, I think what really stands out is how AI is integrating into quite fundamental processes. Take surgical planning, for instance.
Okay.
Historically, getting a detailed 3D anatomical model for complex surgeries needed high-radiation CT scans, maybe MRI, and the manual work to segment those images. That could take days, sometimes weeks.
Right, a real bottleneck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But these sources show AI-driven tools can now generate these detailed 3D models, and increasingly from standard X-rays.
Hold on, from X-rays, that sounds like a huge shift, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. Think about it. Less radiation, less cost.
Yeah.
Potentially much more accessible.
Yeah.
That's one of those real sort of nuggets from this material, I think. This single advancement dramatically lowers the barriers to sophisticated planning.
Right.
It gives surgeons access to critical insights much faster. It potentially turns a process that took weeks into, well, just a few clicks.
Wow.
And it helps ensure consistent quality, opens up advanced planning to many more cases.
Okay, so beyond just planning the shapes, what else is AI doing?
Well, it's proving crucial in predictive modeling, too. Imagine you're designing an implant. AI can analyze vast data sets to predict its performance under various stresses. Or it could anticipate how different surgical techniques might fare in specific patient anatomies.
So trying to foresee problems.
Precisely. And you see companies like Quest Diagnostics collaborating with Google Cloud, using generative AI specifically to streamline data, personalize parts of the customer experience. It shows how AI touches everything, really, from the lab right through to the clinic.
Interesting.
And it's even transforming training. There's mention of Redefined Surgery, for example. They have an AI-powered, immersive 3D training platform.
So better simulations.
It's more than just simulation. It allows large-scale training delivered by top experts, but in very realistic scenarios. Think about the bottleneck in surgical training through traditional fellowships.
Right, it's very limited, one-on-one, often.
Exactly. This platform offers the potential to scale expertise much more rapidly, training thousands simultaneously.
That potential scale for training is, well, it's quite astonishing. So pulling this together then for, the patient or the surgeon,
Sure.
what's the practical benefit of all this AI integration? What does it really mean day to day?
For the surgeon, it's about enhanced precision, definitely,
Yeah.
but also remarkable efficiency. Reducing complex planning to minutes, that saves incredibly valuable time. For the patient, it points towards better outcomes. Because the planning is more precise, it's potentially more personalized based on insights from enormous data sets.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out, in some cases, it means reducing radiation exposure, shifting from CT or MRI to X-rays for that 3D modeling.
Right.
So fundamentally, it's enabling better, faster, and potentially safer planning.
Better decision-making before the first incision is even made. Okay, let's move then from the planning stage into the operating theater itself. Once the surgeon is scrubbed in, what sort of advanced technology is guiding their hands or maybe giving them a better view?
Right. This is where robotic assistance and advanced visualization are really making significant impacts.
Robotics, yeah, that feels like it's been growing for a while.
It has, and it continues its rapid expansion. The market for orthopedic surgical robots, the projection is something like $16 billion by 2030. That gives you an idea of how mainstream this is becoming.
Huge numbers. But are the robots doing the surgery?
No, no. It's important to be clear. These systems aren't replacing the surgeon. They're augmenting them.
Okay, augmenting. How?
They enhance precision. They help reduce variability.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe consistency is a better word.
Yeah.
Especially in complex procedures like total knee replacements, hip surgeries, spinal fusions. Robots help with incredibly precise implant alignment, for example. And they facilitate minimally invasive approaches, which, of course, is a key driver for faster patient recovery.
Right.
We see established systems, like Zimmer Biomet's ROSE hip system, being used quite routinely now in procedures like direct anterior total hip replacement.
Okay, so the robots help with the doing. What about the seeing? How are surgeons getting better eyes inside the body during the procedure?
That's another really fascinating area. Surgical navigation is moving beyond just traditional screens placed somewhere in the OR.
Okay.
Augmented reality, even holographic navigation. They're really emerging now. Novorod's Visar system is a great example mentioned in the sources. It's essentially a surgical GPS.
A GPS for surgery?
Kind of. It projects anatomical imaging, could be 2D images, could be 3D holograms, directly onto the patient's body, right in the surgeon's field of view.
Wow, okay, so they're seeing the plan overlaid on the actual patient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it provides incredibly accurate guidance, apparently down to the millimeter. And we're seeing FDA clearances now for these AR and AI guidance platforms.
Right.
Companies like Medivis, Pixie Medical, Proprio. They're even getting clearance for use in U.S. ambulatory surgery centers.
Which suggests they're becoming more practical, more accessible.
Precisely. It speaks to their increasing practicality. And it's not just AR. Advanced 3D optical scanners, like those from Visi, which used to be advanced scanners, they're providing detailed intraoperative imaging and software analysis too.
So real-time information.
Real-time actionable intelligence right there during complex procedures.
It really sounds like these technologies are taking complex surgeries and, I don't know, by adding these layers of precision and real-time data visualization, they're making them potentially simpler to execute, safer for the patient.
That's a great way to put it, I think. It's about providing sophisticated tools that enhance the surgeon's own innate skill and judgment, making the incredibly challenging slightly more manageable, perhaps, and certainly more consistent.
Like giving surgeons a new set of finely tuned senses.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly then. We've talked about the planning tools, the tools for surgical execution. What about what actually stays inside the body? The implants themselves. What's new and impactful in materials and functionality this year?
Right. Implant innovation. Well, it feels like it's undergoing a bit of a renaissance.
Oh.
One key trend is the increased use of biodegradable materials. Think magnesium alloys or bioresorbable screws and plates.
Things that dissolve.
Essentially, yes. The market for these is projected to grow significantly, potentially over $16 billion by 2035, according to one source.
And the benefit?
The real benefit is they're designed to safely dissolve within the body over time. So for patients, maybe particularly in trauma cases or pediatric cases where bones heal and hardware might otherwise need removing later.
Avoiding a second surgery.
Exactly. Avoiding a second operation altogether. That's a significant win for the patient, obviously.
Yeah.
Less risk, less cost, less recovery time.
Definitely. What else is happening with materials?
Another critical area is fighting infection. Antimicrobial coatings are being developed for implants. We see companies like Oncos Surgical or Zimmer Biomet's Persona Solution PPS femur mentioned.
Because infection is still a big risk.
It remains a persistent, serious risk in implant surgery, yes. So materials engineered to actively combat that risk are vital. We're also seeing composite polymers, ceramics, being engineered not just for strength, but to actively encourage bone growth, to improve osseointegration.
Osseointegration, that's the bone bonding with the implant.
That's the crucial process, yes, where your natural bone tissue grows onto and bonds with the implant surface for stability. Getting that right is key to long-term success.
Okay, materials getting smarter. And then there are smart implants. That always sounds a bit science fiction, but they're very real now, aren't they? What do they actually do?
They're very real, yes, and quite remarkable. Smart implants basically have tiny sensors embedded within them.
Okay.
After surgery, they collect real-time objective data right from inside the patient's body.
What kind of data?
We're talking about medical-grade data. Things like range of motion, how the implant is aligning, weight bearing, even step count, or early indicators of how the healing is progressing.
Right. Data you couldn't get otherwise.
Exactly. And this data can be transmitted wirelessly to the surgeon or the clinical team. Zimmer Biomet's Persona IQ Smart Knee Implant is probably the most prominent example right now. It provides really valuable insights into how the patient is actually recovering once they're outside the clinic walls.
So instead of just asking the patient, how are you feeling at a follow-up appointment weeks later, the surgeon has objective data on their recovery journey from day one.
Precisely. This data-driven approach is fundamentally changing post-operative care. Well, it allows clinicians to monitor recovery remotely. They can potentially intervene earlier if issues arise, and they can tailor the rehabilitation plan much more effectively to the individual patient. There are companies like Inkwell Health mentioned in the sources, specifically focused on providing clinicians with this kind of real-time data to truly optimize that recovery process. It moves follow-up care from being, periodic snapshots to something much closer to continuous monitoring.
That connectivity and data, it brings us nicely to the final major trend we're seeing across these sources, personalization and making patient care much more patient-centric. How do all these technologies tie into that?
Well, the demand for solutions tailored to the individual is definitely a major driving force.
Right.
And this starts with things like patient-specific implants and custom surgical guides, using detailed imaging, often enhanced by AI analysis, as we discussed and produced with advanced manufacturing techniques like 3D printing. Companies like Restore Third are mentioned as focusing on this. Surgeons can get implants and tools designed precisely for a patient's unique anatomy.
So a better fit.
The aim is absolutely a better fit, better function, and ultimately better longevity for the implant. It's a direct link back to the AI and the advanced imaging we talked about earlier.
Makes sense.
And this drive for personalization also extends to where care is delivered. There's a really significant trend towards more outpatient surgeries, often performed in ambulatory surgery centers, or ASCs.
Right. And why is that shift happening now particularly?
It's several factors coming together, really. Improved surgical techniques, certainly. Less invasive approaches, which are enabled by the robotics and navigation we mentioned. Better pain management. Shorter acting anesthetics. They all contribute.
Okay.
But crucially, changes from bodies like the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, in the U.S. are adding more orthopedic procedures to the list that are covered in ASCs. That makes it more financially viable.
The payment structures are catching up.
Exactly. And for patients, this often means potentially shorter hospital stays or no overnight stay at all, recovering in the comfort of their own home faster, and often lower costs compared to a traditional hospital setting.
That sounds like a win-win.
In many cases, it can be. And alongside that shift in location, digital health solutions are improving access and streamlining the patient journey. Well, the HURT app is an interesting example mentioned. It offers free 247 virtual access to orthopedic expertise by partnering with physician groups.
So quick advice anytime.
It helps patients get quick advice outside standard clinic hours, yes. And it potentially alleviates some pressure on busy clinics. Partnerships, like the one mentioned between HURT and Relation, are focused on improving this kind of access and the user experience. Other digital platforms are helping practices manage patient engagement, data analytics, operational efficiency, smoothing the whole process.
Right.
And we probably shouldn't forget regenerative medicine. Things like PRP, stem cell injections. These offer non-surgical personalized options for certain conditions, which meets that growing patient demand for less invasive alternatives where they're appropriate.
It's fascinating, actually, how all these threads seem to connect. You've got AI refining the planning and enabling personalized implants. Then advanced surgical tech allowing for less invasive approaches, which enables the shift to outpatient care.
Exactly.
And then the smart implants providing the data for that personalized remote recovery monitoring.
Absolutely. When you look across all these trends, the AI, robotics, AR, smart implants, personalized approaches, the shift to outpatient care, they really do all seem to converge on the same goals.
Which are?
Increasing precision, accelerating recovery times, improving outcomes, and ultimately making orthopedic care significantly more patient-centered in 2025.
It really is an incredibly exciting time in the field, and if you found this deep dive valuable, perhaps consider rating the show or sharing it with a colleague who might also find it insightful. As we wrap up, though, these rapid technological leaps are clearly reshaping the landscape. But it does leave us with a compelling question, doesn't it? Perhaps one for you, the listener, to consider. As AI takes over more planning tasks, robots enhance execution, and smart implants provide this constant stream of data, how does the fundamental role of the human expert, the surgeon, the clinician, actually change?
That's the key question, isn't it?
And on a larger scale, how will our healthcare systems truly adapt to integrate and manage all this new technology, the vast amount of data it generates, while still navigating the ethical considerations that inevitably come with such powerful tools?
Indeed. The technology is a powerful enabler, there's no doubt. But
Yeah.
human judgment, empathy, expertise, they remain absolutely critical in actually delivering care. Technology is a tool, not the whole answer.
A lot to think about as these innovations continue to unfold. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the cutting edge of orthopedic innovation in 2025.
My pleasure. Thank you.